Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. Welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, and it's another supersized edition. We're going to talk about a lot of cards again today. And now that we know everything that's in Double Masters, that is obviously having an impact on card prices. But also, I think due to the fact that Double Masters was a pretty harsh reminder that Wizards is going to reprint a lot of cards, you do see a lot of folks now looking back towards older cards, looking at reserve list cards. Many of those are increasing in value this week. Quickly before we get started though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. They did recently restock on Double Masters regular booster boxes. They also do have the VIP packs and boxes there too. If you use the promo code on the regular Double Masters booster box, it comes down to $297, and that does include shipping in the United States. Also too, whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're going to begin, as we always do, with Standard and your top 8 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week. This format is still in a really strange place. We have some bannings this week. We'll talk about some of that as we go through. Also, too, rotation's going to occur very soon this fall, and most players are not going to get a chance to play Paper Standard before the season's even over. So card prices feel like they've kind of stalled a little bit. Let's see what's happening. Number 8 is Luca Copper Code Outcast, down 52 cents to $5.34. This card just keeps losing value. Ever since Agent of Treachery was banned in Standard, this card's been on the downswing. And it does see a little play in Commander, but that's about it right now. This is one we will have to keep an eye on in the future, though, because it does not rotate out this fall. Number 7, Liliana Dreadhorde General. Now, this card does rotate out in the fall. It goes down 57 cents to $16.30. And a couple decks that were running this were hurt by the bannings. Particularly, we're talking about Teferi Time Raveler and Growth Spiral. Number 6 is Leyline of the Void. This is the one from Guild Pact. It goes down 73 cents to $15.16. Another card that will rotate out this fall. It has seen a small amount of Standard and Pioneer sideboard play, but really this is a much bigger card in sideboards than Modern, Legacy, and Vintage. Also, this does get a little Commander play and has seen more recently in Tiny Bones Trinket Thief builds. Overall, this card has been soft ever since it did get reprinted in Core Set 2020. Number 5 is Hydroid Krasis, another card that will rotate out this fall. It goes down 75 cents to $17.36. And this card was also hurt by some of the bannings that occurred this week: Growth Spiral, Teferi Time Raveler, Wilderness Reclamation. Regardless of all that, though, this has seen more Commander play recently in newer builds like Cesareo the Exemplary and Kinnenbonder Prodigy. Number 4 is the Great Henge. It goes down 79 cents to $27.36, and this has seen some recent increases, so I think you're just seeing some normalization here. This is a card that will be sticking around this fall. You'll find this one in Mono Green Stompy, Adventure builds, and more. Also, it's in some Mono Green decks in Pioneer. Beyond that, it does see a lot of Commander play as well. Number 3 is Azusa Lost But Seeking, a card that was reprinted in Core Set 2021. The Champions of Kamigawa copy is going down 96 cents to $25.99. The Masters 25 copy down $1.17 to $13.87. This is in Modern, Amulet Titan. It also sees a lot of Commander play and is seeing more play now in Radha Heart of Kjell builds. Number 2 is Teferi Master of Time, down $1.27 to $28.58. A couple things going on here. This card had a ton of hype during the pre-release time period. A lot of people thought this was going to take over Standard and maybe other formats too. It didn't really pan out. It was starting to find some homes though before those bannings occurred this week. Again, in particular, the bannings that hurt this one were Wilderness Reclamation, Growth Spiral, Teferi Time Raveler. But there's also something else going on here. Because this card had such a high price point going into this season, regardless of the amount of play it saw, there was a good chance it was going to decrease in value as more packs got cracked. And that's also what you're seeing here. So I do think in the future, this card will find more homes. It will see play, maybe a good amount of play once we get past rotation and we enter a smaller Standard. Also, too, this is seeing some Commander play in builds like Atraxa Praetor's Voice. And remember, that card was just reprinted in Double Masters. Number 1 is Ugin the Spirit Dragon from Fate Reforged, down $1.33 to $34.28. This card has been soft since it's been reprinted in Core Set 2021, but it was seeing a healthy amount of Standard play with its addition into that format. It was in decks like the Ramp builds and Team of Reclamation, but of course those got hit by some of those bannings we've been talking about in this segment. Also, too, this took a hit in Pioneer because normally you'd find this card in Lotus Breach there, and Underworld Breach was banned in that format. Now, in Standard, it does see play in other builds like Adventures, for example. and it does still see modern play in Tron builds, not to mention that it is a highly played commander card. Alright, let's move on to your top 8 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 8 is Assassin's Trophy, up 32 cents to $13.99. Now, this card is rotating out this fall, and it is going up in value. It sees a little standard play, a little pioneer play, but really this is a bigger card in other formats. Like Modern, you'll find it in Jund there and other decks, for example. Also, this gets Legacy and Vintage play, and it's a highly played commander card. Number 7 is Embercleave. It goes up 47 cents to $9.99. Keep an eye on this card because with the bannings that just occurred, I do think some of the decks that run this could get better. Mono Red aggro, Gruul aggro, and more. Also, too, pretty soon when standard becomes smaller, I do think those aggro decks could become better as well, potentially. This also sees a little pioneer play and has seen some increased commander play in Radha Heart of Kjell builds. Number 6 is Hallowed Fountain, the original copy from Dissension of 65 cents to $23.99. So, was there a copy of the Ravnica Allegiance version of this in the Wild Bounty Brawl deck putting more copies out there? Yup. Did this card get hit by some of the bannings that occurred this week? Yup. Is it going to rotate out of standard this fall? Yup. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's still a shockland, especially these original copies are always going to be sought after. They're going to see play going forward in Pioneer, Modern, as well as Commander. Number 5, same story with this one. Sacred Foundry from Ravnica City of Guilds. It goes up 68 cents to $16.69. This might be rotating out. Currently, though, it is in Mardu Winota and Mardu Knights. And like I said, regardless, it's still going to be played in a lot of places in the future. Number 4, third one in a row, but this is a newer copy, Breeding Pool from Ravnica Allegiance, going up 69 cents to $24.34. Again, this was in a lot of the decks that took a hit from the banning, of course, but we'll see plenty of play down the road. Number 3 is Shark Typhoon, going up 73 cents to $11.49, another card that got hit by these bannings in a lot of ways. Wilderness Reclamation, Growth Spiral, Teferi Time Raveler, these are all cards that share decks with this one. But this is such a good card, and you know it's going to be great post-rotation as well. Beyond that, it's seeing play in a lot of other formats, currently Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and even Vintage. Also sees a fair amount of Commander play in Gabby Nestwarden builds and more there. Number 2 is Yurok the Desecrated, going up $1.01 to $10.84. Sure, this is going to rotate out of Standard, but again, it's a card that hasn't been seeing a lot of Standard play recently. But you know where it does see a lot of play? Commander. It's a very popular Commander in the format. And number 1 is Twin Blade Paladin, going up $1.54 to $6.73. This is another card to keep an eye on because it was not in the draft booster packs. You can find 3 copies of this, though, in the Ajani Inspiring Leader Planeswalker deck. So if you happen to come across that product, it might be worth picking it up just for these cards. This has seen a fair amount of commander play in builds like Heliod's Uncrowned and Sir Gwen Hero of Ashval. Alright, let's move on to Pioneer and your top 5 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. This format also took some bannings this week, plus much like Standard, it's in a really weird place again because most people can't really play it. Number 5 is Jace Vryn's Prodigy. It goes down $1.63 to $28. This card had a pretty high price point and was going down recently anyway, but now it got a little help by the banning of Inverter of Truth. You usually found this card in those decks. Now, you will still find it in Saltai Delirium. It also sees some Vintage play, and it has seen increased commander play in Rael the Everwise, Bruvak the Grandiloquent, and more decks recently. Number 4 is another very popular commander card that has been increasing in value recently. Now it is starting to normalize back down. Zakama Primal Calamity, it goes down $1.94 this week to $29.56. So you can play fair with this and put it in a Dino build either as a commander or behind Gizhath Sun's avatar. Or if you want to play a little unfair, this card is very good at creating loops as well. Number 3 is Burmaz, King of Oreskos. This goes down $2.02 to $20.98. Another card that has been increasing in value a lot recently. You're seeing some retraction here again this week. This was in Arabo commander builds for a while now, of course, but it's seeing more play now in Commander and Rin and Syrian Separable, as well as Winona Joiner of Forces decks. Number 2 is a card that sees play in Mono Blue Tron and Modern sometimes, but you know it more as one of the most highly played commander cards out there. It is Cyclonic Rift, and the only reason it's really going down right now is because it was just reprinted in Double Masters. Return to Ravnica goes down $1.52 to $29.93. Commander 2014 is down $2.02 to $29.55. Number 1 is the Chain Val, going down $2.20 to $23.34. This card was hot not too long ago. It feels like whenever a whole bunch of new Planeswalkers are introduced, this card goes up in value, then it normalizes back down. Remember though, this is a solid commander card. Many times it's found in Atraxa builds, and of course that was just reprinted in Double Masters. Alright, on to your top 9 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week, and surprise, surprise, the key driver for cards going up in value continues to be Commander right now. Number 9 is Karn's Temporal Sundering, up 54 cents to $2.99. This does see quite a bit of Commander play in Yuriko the Tiger Shadow builds, as well as others. And remember, Yuriko was just reprinted in Mystery Boosters not too long ago. Number 8 is Neheb the Eternal, going up 54 cents to $10.96. And this is a solid Commander card, seeing more play now in some new builds though, like Sethron Hurloon General and Zerzoth Chaos Rider. Number 7, the Immortal Sun, up 54 cents to $21, and this is mostly a Commander card. It does see play in a lot of different builds there, but the reason it's going up this week is because there's some extra attention on the card due to a couple mentions on YouTube. If you watch the Command Zone podcast, this card got a mention there. Also in the Game Nights episode, this was in a Bosch Iron Golem build. Number 6 is Wayward Swordtooth, up 70 cents to $11.46. Sees lots of Commander play in numerous builds, including Gishath Sun's Avatar. Also has seen increased play recently in Ratha Heart of Kjell builds. Number 5 is Polyraptor. This goes up 77 cents to $9.05. Another card you'll find in those Dino Commander decks. Also, this is seeing some more play now in Neith of the Dire Hunt builds. Number 4, Door of Destinies. Great for Tribal Commander builds, seeing more play currently in the Rin and Syrian Separable decks. Commander 2017 goes up 64 cents to $11.61. Morningtide up 88 cents to $15.50. Number 3 is Hellkite Tyrant, and this card's been pretty hot recently overall. It's a solid Commander card. Many times you'll find this in Kali of the Vast or Brea Ethereum Shaper builds. Both of those cards are being reprinted in Double Masters. Also shows up in the Dragon, which was reprinted not too long ago, and other places too. But this was another card that showed up in that Bosch Iron Golem deck on Game Nights too. Commander 2016 went up 66 cents to $12. Gatecrash up 94 cents to $10.07. Number 2, Tezzeret Artifice Master. This goes up $1.14 to $8.69, and this is another card that sees play in those Atraxa and Brea Commander builds. This also shows up frequently in the Urzalord High Artificer decks in Commander, which are very popular as well. Number 1 is a card that actually does see play in Pioneer. It is Thoughtseize, the original copy from Lorwyn, going up $1.68 to $37.14. So this shows up in Mono Black Aggro and more. It also sees play in Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. But what's weird about this card going up right now is it just got reprinted in Double Masters. Now, this copy of the card did lose some value when people figured out that that card was going to be in the set not too long ago. So I think we're seeing a little bit of bounce back here. But once more of those Double Masters packs are cracked, I would expect this one to stabilize down at least a little bit. That's going to bring us to Modern and your top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5, Sunken Ruins from Shadowmoor, down $3.17 to $26.86. This card has been hot recently because of the Commander play that it was seeing. However, it's going down now because it was reprinted in Double Masters. Number 4 is Kozilek Butcher of Truth from Rise of the Eldrazi. This card has been going up recently, so you're seeing some retraction here, down $3.36 to $54.65 this week. Now, many times you'll find this in Legacy Mono Green Cloud Post, but more often you're going to find this card played in Commander. Typically, it's in Kozilek the Great Distortion builds and has seen increased play recently in Kinnan-Bonder Prodigy decks. Number 3 is Bloom Tender from Eventide, down $3.42 to $41.13. Highly played Commander card in numerous builds, but it was recently reprinted in Mystery Boosters. Number 2 is Misty Rainforest from Modern Masters 2017, down $3.59 to $80.02. Keep an eye on these enemy fetches. I do think they're going to lose more value in the coming weeks and months, because remember, not only did we get the Secret Lair Ultimate Edition, which, sure, that was very expensive, hard to find. As a matter of fact, I still haven't worked those cards into these videos yet because those prices are still turbulent. But there's going to be more copies of those cards coming into the environment once they do finally ship those Secret Lair summer bundles. Now, when those hit the marketplace, I do think you're going to see continued softness in these cards. And then Wizards also promised that later this year, I don't know if it's going to be delayed, but for right now, later this year, there's going to be a non-standard product going to game stores that will also have fetches in it. So add it all together, and it might be approaching the time to think about picking these up if you have been waiting. So just keep a close eye on prices going forward. These fetches obviously see a ton of play wherever they are legal. Number 1, Craterhoof Behemoth from Avacyn Restored. It goes down $4.54 to $45.99. This was reprinted in Jumpstart, which is most likely the only reason it's going down in value. It sees play in Legacy Elves. It also gets a lot of Commander play, which is why the card is so sought after. This is in Reese the Redeem builds. Of course, that just got reprinted not only in Mystery Boosters, but now Double Masters. This is also seeing more play in recent builds like Kinnenbonder Prodigy and Zera's The Writhing Storm. Alright, let's move on to your top 6 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 6 is Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, the one from Avacyn Restored. It goes up $1.96 to $13.99. And this has seen Commander play in many of those Kaalia of the Vast builds and other places too in the format. But remember, Kaalia is also being reprinted in Double Masters. Number 5 is Seasoned Pyromancer. It goes up $1.98 to $21.99. And this sees play in Modern Gruul Midrange and more. Additionally, this has seen more Commander play of late in builds like Winona Joiner of Forces and Sabira Tilzidi Caravaner. Number 4 is Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, up $2.55 to $44.71. This is the one from Ultimate Masters. And typically you'll find this one again in the Kozilek the Great Distortion build in Commander. Also has seen increased play in Kinnenbonder Prodigy there as well. Number 3 is a highly played Commander mana-based card. It is Reflecting Pool from Tempest. It goes up $2.79 to $35. Sliver Legion from Future Sight comes in at number 2, bouncing back after it did lose value recently. It goes up $7.27 to $104.48. And Commander Sliver decks have been popular since the recent reprintings of Sliver Hivelord and Sliver Overlord. Number 1 is Greater Oromancy. It goes up $8.36 to $46.76, and this does give me an opportunity to use my one per video. Of course, you know, because you watch these videos, that during this time period of Magic, less packs were open. There was a recession in the game. And these rares, if they didn't get reprinted somewhere else like this one, they tend to get pretty spiky when people want them. The reason folks want this one right now is because of those Core Set 2021 shrines. There's a lot of players using those in Commander and Sisay, whether like Captain builds. They take the old shrines and also sprinkle in the new shrines. Alright, that brings us to the Vintage Spotlight, and you know the drill. We talk about cards that see play in Legacy Vintage, 93, 94, and cards that are popular right now among collectors. However, you're going to notice the list has been getting longer and longer recently. This might be the longest Vintage Spotlight I have put together so far. And I do think, like I said at the top of the show, that a lot of people are considering now picking up some of the reserve list cards or other older cards that they know will hold value because they're seeing so many reprints come out so quickly. First, we have one of the revised dual lands, and this is the first of a number of them that you're going to see today. This is on the reserve list as they all are, so I won't say that for everyone. But this is Tundra. It goes up $2.08 to $291.20. It does feel like a lot of people are getting to the point with these revised duels that they're pulling the trigger because they're worried that the price is just going to keep going up, which for the most part, I think long term it will. There might be ups and downs along the way, but right now these cards are super hot. Next, we have Helm of Obedience. It's on the reserve list. It goes up $2.23 to $29.99, and this does see some legacy as well as Commander play. Allosaurus Shepherd, this is a new one from Jumpstart. It goes up $2.42 to $76. Already seeing play in Legacy Elves builds and some Commander play as well. Solarian Academy on the reserve list, but of course this is not seeing play in Commander because it's banned there. Does see Vintage play though, even though it is restricted. It goes up $2.81 to $99. Nulraj, you know this is on the reserve list. It goes up $2.95 to $70.95. And of course this does see play in Legacy Delver builds and more there. In Vintage, you'll find this in Golos Stacks and Ravager Shops and other decks in that format too. And it does see a little Commander play as well. Wheel of Fortune from Revised goes up $3.09 to $2.20. This is on the reserve list, but it did get printed one more time as a Judge Foil before they closed that loophole. This does see Vintage play and Commander play, especially in those competitive Commander decks. And it has seen increased play recently in a number of newer builds. Zera's The Writhing Storm, Rael the Everwise, Bralin and Shabraz. Also remember this combos with Lion's Eye Diamond, Underworld Breach, and Thassa's Oracle. Next we have Necropotence from Iconic Masters. It goes up $3.20 to $28.29, and this sees play in Vintage Doomsday. Also a highly played Commander card, seeing more play now in Tiny Bones builds. And on top of that, it got a Command Zone podcast mention too. Mana Vault from Ultimate Masters. This sees Vintage and Commander play as well, going up $3.53 this week to $64.99. Savannah, here's one of those revised dual lands, up $4.08 to $226.36. Sylvan Library, 4th edition, up $1.81 to $66.57. Eternal Masters up $5.40 to $69.63. This sees Legacy, some Vintage play, and of course it's a highly played Commander card. Yawgmoth's Will on the reserve list, but did get a Judge Foil printing again before they closed the loophole. It goes up $6.32 to $136.31. You'll find this one in Vintage as well as Commander, and again it has seen some increased play in Commander Tiny Bones decks. Mana Drain from Iconic Masters up $6.68 to $149.76. This is one of those cards that I think people were hoping would show up in Double Masters, but it didn't. I'm sure it's going to get reprinted at some point, but for right now it has become hot again. This does see some vintage play and is also a highly played commander card, especially in competitive decks. Next is City of Traders on the reserve list, up a lucky 711 to 157.49. And you're going to find this one in a lot of builds, actually, in Legacy. Sneak and Show, Omnitel, Karn Echoes, Mono Red Prison, Eldrazi Stompy, and more. Vampiric Tutor, 6th edition, up 312 to 99.24. Eternal Masters goes up 746 this week to 120.75. Another card you'll find in Vintage, also a highly played commander card, especially in competitive decks. And again, this is seeing more play because of Tiny Bones in the commander format. On top of that, this was in that Bosch Iron Golem deck that was on game nights as well. Mux's Goblin Grandy, another one of the Jumpstart cards, going up $7.68 to $38. This is in Goblin Legacy decks already. Also a very popular new commander. Beyond that, it's seeing play in Krenko Mob Boss builds in Commander, and of course that also got reprinted in Jumpstart. This also got a Command Zone podcast mention this week. Retrofitter Foundry goes up $8.74 to $18.14. This is in Legacy Ninjas, and that deck has been doing pretty well on Magic the Gathering Online recently. Commander, this will see play in decks like Brutaclad Telcore Engineer, for example, and that was also reprinted recently in Double Masters. Next we have a Plains from Jumpstart, but not any Plains. It is the Dog Plains, as you can see on the screen there. It's going up $9.11 this week to $14.99. I'm sure this will calm down as more packs get shipped out and cracked open, but for right now, anyone that wants to build a Dog Tribal deck of any kind, they want these lands. Couple more revised dual lands, starting with Taiga going up $11.58 to $219.99, and Bayou going up $12.52 to $386.99. Mox Diamond from Stronghold, this is on the reserve list, but did get reprinted as a foil and from the Vault Relics, again before they close the loophole. It goes up $16.32 to $417.97. You'll find this one in Legacy Lands and 4-color Loam and others in that format. Also another highly played commander card, another one that's good in competitive decks too. Underground Sea from Revised up $16.70 to $522.99. Triskelion from Antiquities. Now this is a good example of an older card that's not on the reserve list, but it's still going up in value because it is hard to find in good condition and unique. It goes up $18.32 to $77.99. It's been reprinted a bunch of times. Technically it's modern legal, and most recently we saw this in WPN Mystery Boosters as a foil. Land Equilibrium on the reserve list up $18.75 this week to $130.95. Badlands from Revised up $22.76 to $322.48. Copy Artifact from Unlimited on the reserve list, but did get printed and revised. It goes up $22.94 to $198.75. Dancing Scimitar from Arabian Nights. It goes up $23.20 to $53.75. Another card that's not on the reserve list and has been reprinted a number of times. Also technically modern legal. In the Eye of Chaos on the reserve list up $24.25 to $123.30. Singing Tree, also on the reserve list, up $25.30 to $123.30. Lady of Angela, say it with me now, on the reserve list, up $25.95 to $84.71. Acid Rain, is it? Yep, it's on the reserve list. It goes up $27.66 to $129.95. Caverns of Despair, this card is on a list, I think it's called the reserve list. It goes up $28.96 to $87. Sword of the Ages, yup, you just made the reserve list too. It goes up $30.02 to $95.55. Falling Star, one of those dexterity cards that's kind of interesting, and it's on the reserve list. It goes up $34.70 to $82.99. The original Land Tax, not on the reserve list, but jumping up this week, even though it was reprinted in Double Masters. The more recent copies are all going down right now, but this one's going up $35.38 to $89.98. Okay, I'll spare you. From this point forward, everything in this section's on the reserve list. All Hallows Eve goes up $42.21 to $250. Tetsuya Umezawa up $51.12 to $150. City of Shadows goes up $76.17 to $99.99. This one's kind of interesting. It was going up earlier in the week a little bit, and I thought, okay, that makes sense because it's a decent commander card. It's in those Athreos Shroud Val decks, which is a newer card. Also sees play in Atraxa builds many times, which of course just got reprinted. But since then, it really did jump up, so it feels more like a buyout than anything to me now. Volcanic Island. This is the one from Unlimited, though, even though, yes, it did get reprinted again and revised. It goes up $87.93 to $975.90. Gwendolyn de Corsai up $158.53 to $487.50. Brain Geyser from Unlimited. It did get another printing and revised, but this copy goes up $175.96 this week to $224.50, another buyout. Bizarre Baghdad. This is going up because of some recent higher grade copies for sale. Remember, these more expensive cards don't see a lot of sales in any given week. So the big websites that follow this type of thing do have to lean heavier into what people are asking. And that's what you're seeing here. This goes up $196.95 to $1,950 this week. Time Walk from Unlimited, a similar story here. This time someone is asking a little more than normal for a high-grade copy. Not a whole lot. They're probably just fishing for an offer, but the card goes up $285 to $2,969.99 this week. And finally, Black Lotus from Unlimited jumps up $5,160.10 to $11,599.99. So I don't think it's quite worth that in reality. Again, you have a situation where there were not any high-grade copies on the market for a while. They return this week. Maybe more sellers are coming back to the marketplace, perhaps. And a couple of them are priced higher than normal. All right, because you asked for it, more Commander cards. Time for the Commander Spotlight. We have Pathbreaker Ibex from Commander 2015 up $1.01 to $11.99. And this does see some Commander play in a variety of different builds. Quest for the Nihil Stone. This goes up $1.07 to $3.70, and this does see Commander play now in those Tiny Bones builds. Crystalline Sliver. This is from Stronghold. It goes up $1.08 to $8.01. And like I said earlier, those Commander Sliver decks have been popular. This also sees play in Legacy Slivers too. Abeyance. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.15 to $17.95. Sees some Commander play, but mostly I think it's just drying up in the online marketplace. Grade Pack from 9th edition goes up $1.18 to $20.66. Overall, these grade packs have been hot recently. This does see a lot of Commander play, especially in builds like Teysa Karlov and more. And remember, this got a little bit better too with that Death Trigger rules change that occurred. Doubling Cube from 10th edition up $1.18 to $28.35. This has seen increased Commander play in Cesareo the Exemplary builds. Lotus Blossom. Believe it or not, this card has yet to be reprinted, and it's not on the reserve list. It goes up $1.20 to $4.72. It's a decent Commander card, but I think mostly it's just drying up a little bit this week in the marketplace. Consecrated Sphinx from Mirrodin Besieged. It goes up $1.20 to $31.60. Highly played Commander card, sees a lot of play in competitive builds, and it has seen increased play recently in newer decks. Kininbonder Prodigy, Iniez the Gale Force, Bruvak the Grandiloquent, and more. Also, this is found in decks built around recently reprinted cards like Brea and the Locust God. Awakening, another card that has yet to be reprinted, but not actually on the reserve list. It goes up $1.26 to $6.35. This has seen more Commander play recently in Kenrith the Returned King decks. Dimir Signet, the one from Commander, dries up a little bit this week. Great Commander card. It goes up $1.27 to $5.60. Wrath of God, the one from Portal, dries up a little bit this week, going up $1.27 to $12.17. Fantastic Commander board sweep, but recently reprinted in Double Masters. Bribery for Mercadian Mask goes up $1.29 to $24.49 this week. Again, the original copy here drying up a little bit. This does see play in a number of different builds, including Centriplets, which did recently get reprinted as a foil in WPN Mystery Boosters. Jet Medallion from Tempest up $1.30 to $29.02. This whole cycle is great in Commander. This one in particular seeing more play in Tiny Bones Trinket Thief builds and Vito Thorn of the Duskrose decks. City of Brass from 5th edition. All the copies of this card have been pretty hot recently. This goes up $1.31 to $17.58. Highly played Commander mana-based card. Also, too, in Modern, you'll find this in Dredge and Ad Nauseam. Legacy, it's also in Dredge there. Enlightened Tutor from Mirage goes up $1.34 to $36.96. Highly played Commander card, and is also seeing increased play in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain builds I mentioned earlier. Many times, too, you'll find this in Brea Ethereum Shaper decks, and of course, like we said, that's being reprinted in Double Masters. Phyrexian Tower, the original from Urza Saga, goes up $1.35 to $33.49. Recently reprinted in Jumpstart. You'll find this one in Legacy Rector-Fit, and it also sees a lot of Commander play. Tainted Pact, this goes up $1.36 to $61.75, and this again sees a lot of Commander play in various builds, including competitive ones. Doubling Season from Modern Masters. Apparently nobody told this copy of the card that it got reprinted in Double Masters. It goes up $1.37 to $57.57. Okay, so this card did lose some value recently when the announcement came that it was going to be in the set. So there's a little bounce back here, but I do think as more packs get cracked, this will come down more. Now, this is a highly played Commander card, and it's found in builds of recently reprinted cards like Atraxa Praetor's Voice, Reese the Redeemed, Rico of Two Reflections. Also has seen increased play in new builds like Zexara the Exemplary and Rin and Syrian Separable. Earthcraft is next. It's on the reserve list. It goes up $1.37 to $85.49. You'll find this one in Reese the Redeemed builds as well. Also has seen increased play in Zera's The Writhing Storm decks. Mirari's Wake, the one from Conspiracy, up $1.44 to $22.36. Highly played Commander card, seeing additional play in Rin and Syrian Separable. Vesuvan Doppelganger, this is on the reserve list. This is the copy from Revised. It goes up $1.46 to $16.48. And this does see a little commander play, sometimes in Riku of 2 Reflections builds, and of course that was reprinted in Double Masters. Ancestral Knowledge on the reserve list goes up $1.50 to $5.62, and this is another card that does see a little commander play here or there, but I think for the most part it's just drying up in the online marketplace. Terramorphic Expanse, it gets new art in Jumpstart, and apparently some people are excited about that because it's jumping up $1.61 to $5. Of course, this is a highly played commander card. Modcatcher goes up $1.66 to $10.48, seeing increased commander play in Muxus Goblin Grandee builds, and builds around the recently reprinted Krenko Mob Boss. Homeward Path, very solid commander card, shows up in a lot of builds. This commander version of it goes up $1.70 to $14.99 this week. Academy Rector on the reserve list and does see some commander play also in its namesake deck in Legacy, Rector Fit. It goes up $1.76 to $60.15. Hall of Gemstone on the reserve list goes up $1.81 to $16.99. This does see a little commander play, sometimes in mono green builds. Argothian Enchantress from Urza Saga up $1.91 to $27.30, another card that shows up in those Commander Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks. Lotus Veil on the reserve list up $1.95 to $22.92, see some commander play in a few different builds. Humility, a card that sees a little commander play, but maybe more importantly, it is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.99 to $27.95. Cruel Tutor, another tutor in black, it goes up $1.99 to $52.05. Damia Sage of Stone up $2.14 to $8.14. This is the copy from Commander, and it's a very popular commander in the format. Speaking of very popular commanders, Bruvak the Grandiloquent goes up $2.62 to $46.28. Corpse Dance on the reserve list, another decent commander card that's also a great cube card. This can reanimate at instant speed, so it's good with Kozilek Butcher of Truth, for example. It goes up $2.94 this week to $11.60. Survival of the Fittest from Exodus on the reserve list, but did get a printing as a Judge Foil before they closed the loophole. It goes up $3.13 to $164.75. This has seen some increased commander play recently in Cathril Aspect Warper builds. Sliver Queen on the reserve list. This is the Sliver Lord that's going to be the hardest to find in good condition. It goes up $3.48 to $209.97. Timna the Weaver, only found in foil, goes up $3.53 to $43.21. This is a highly played partner commander. This shows up in a lot of competitive builds. Squandered Resources on the reserve list. This is found in some Commander Lands builds. It goes up $4.06 to $28.56. Sylvan Tutor, another tutor from Portal. It goes up $5.29 to $85.06. Metalworker, it's on the reserve list, going up $5.91 to $78.51. And this actually can show up in a number of different builds in Commander. Some good ones like Urza Lord High Artificer, Kozilek the Great Distortion, Joyra Weatherlight Captain, which was just reprinted in Double Masters, and more. But I think, again, the main reason this is moving this week is because it was on game nights in that Bosch Iron Golem deck. Scroll Rack from Tempest, highly played commander card, especially good in Yuriko the Tiger Shadow builds. And this also did get a Command Zone mention this week. It goes up $6.15 to $99.99. Hatred, this one's on the reserve list. It goes up $10.50 to $30.48. Good card in Commander Skithrix, the Blight Dragon builds, and of course that just got reprinted in Double Masters. It's an undiscovered paradise, and it will stay that way because it is on the reserve list. It goes up $12.90 to $19.99 this week, and this has seen a little commander play recently in a land combo build. Maelstrom Wanderer is the commander, and then there's only 2 other cards in the deck that aren't lands, Jace Wielder of Mysteries and Mana Severance. Also, too, this would be good with landfall abilities, which could be making a return in Zendikar Rising. Transmute Artifact, classic commander card found in Urza Lord High Artificer decks and more in the format. Also happens to be, for the last time in this video, on the reserve list. It goes up $22.79 to $270.59. And that brings us to the Premium Spotlight, and you hear my disclaimer every week. I don't like to spend too much time on rare promos or foils because if there's not enough sales in any given week, the data could be off, and also, too, it can be easily manipulated at times. This week in particular, when I was going through cards, I did see a lot of market manipulation out there, so be careful. If a card's jumping up hundreds of dollars at a time, probably not legit. Go ahead and check eBay sold and completed listings to see what's really going on. But with that being said, I do like to pick at least one card that feels like it's moving naturally with the market for the most part. This week I went with Greater Oromancy from Shadowmoor. The foil copy goes up $5.58 to $70.99. Alright, that does it for this edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. As always, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.